There are news about immigration, what's happening with processing times at the USCIS, and fact you may not have known that Hispanic population in the USA, also the Hispanic population in the United States exceeds 60 million. Stay tuned because I will tell you this and more news below.
Welcome to the Quiroga Law Office Weekly News section. This is a space where we share all the latest immigration updates. This is the most important immigration news of the week. We invite you to stay tuned.
Hi everybody, Hector Quiroga here, immigration attorney, bringing you the most important news of week 42, 2023, fourth quarter of the year. These are the most important news, in our opinion, that affect immigration and we believe the community must learn about so they know what way to feel about it and, more importantly, what way to vote about it in the upcoming elections. The first important news, it is a report from the White House that in order to have an asylum petition, an asylum interview, when somebody shows up in the southern border of the United States, you must use the application CBP One. This is an app on the phone that would allow the person to have an interview. Although this is a good organization tool, it's created a lot of debate. The first one is that there is about 263,000 applications for an interview, of which only 45,000 have been granted. The next important criticism is the high partial interviews towards individuals from Cuba, Haiti, and Venezuela, passing over a lot of Mexican nationals who are precisely on the border asking for asylum. The next challenge that we see has to do with the fact that the law asks for somebody to be allowed to have a regional field interview if they make it anyway into U.S. territory. It doesn't say it has to go through a certain procedure of any kind. The government will defend this. We'll see how they respond. However, the lack of ability to give all of those interviews seem to be at the center of the debate this week. The next news has to do with the petition from AILA, American Immigration Lawyer Association, of which I am a part. It has to do with a petition for clarity on the processing times. Processing times are varying. In some places claim to be 5.5 months to get a work permit. In some others, with the same type of case, we're looking at 15 to 17 months. It's all over the place, and when we look at the data from the government, including in cases that are pending, it's completely inconsistent. It doesn't give us any kind of certainty as about when somebody will resolve the matter. This leads to litigation. It leads to a lot of confusion in the system, both by immigration lawyers, by the people making the petitions. So it is important we have some sort of consistency, so we have some guidelines and we can properly set expectations of how long these cases are going to take. The next news has to do with the upcoming litigation precisely against this president and the White House on the politics that it has to do or how the government is handling people who are detained at the border. Let's remember that in 1996 there was a big change in the law, there was a big reform, and it gave us the guidelines of how we should treat somebody who comes into the border. And it had to do with whether somebody gets a voluntary departure, voluntary return, somebody's allowed to ask for asylum, or if they give them what is called an expedited removal, which is an order of deportation. It could become an order of deportation in certain ways in an expedited way. This act was followed for many years, but it kind of fell off the rails and the pandemic didn't help. So we know that Title 42 came into place to disallow individuals to come into the country based on a national emergency, based on COVID and the pandemic, and was overused. And when the more influx of people keep coming, giving everybody that due process from 96, it's a problem. There are also potential violations on a further agreement that happened in 1997, on which it told us in that agreement how individuals who are minors under the age of 18 were going to be treated. This accentuated by family separation concepts that parents or a guardian had to be assigned to these children, which this keeps happening more and more and more. So the challenges are coming. This could be some civil rights violations. Therefore, there might be some money that the government may have to compensate certain parties, which creates a further issue with the budget and some other things that the government is claiming. We'll see how this litigation will end and how it's going to be advanced, and we will be reporting it to you. The next news has to do with this report running around 60 million individuals in the US have roots that are Hispanic or Latino. That is the highest number we've seen on the population. They report about 36.5 million with Mexican roots, while we have also very, very interesting numbers from Haiti, Venezuela, and Cuba. Now, important spike in Colombians. So it's great to see that the Latino cultures, especially from the Hispanic Heritage Month, that we're coming up together. I'd like to thank all of you who are coming, like I did, to help build this great country, to contribute, to really enjoy our culture, and to be part of this great melting pot. I think I'd like to really thank you here because it is important, and to see those numbers, it just fills my heart with a lot of love for all of you. Thank you. The last news comes from the state of Utah. Very interesting data. We're seeing that more than 30% of the individuals detained are sent or were deviated into the state of Utah. 30% is a big number. This is odd because Utah is not a sanctuary state, doesn't have sanctuary cities per se. So what it means is that there must be some sort of agreement or policy deviating these individuals here. We would like to know, we would like to have more transparency, because this type of agreement or this type of policy needs to be released into the community, so precisely the cities, the individuals there can better prepare for an influx of and a growth of their population. Now, pro-immigration activists are arguing that this will boost precisely the Utah economy. We'll see, and as information comes up, I will make it available to you. This is Hector Quiroga, immigration attorney. Please share this news. We don't know who can actually see them, and we encourage to precisely take the proper steps to advance the immigration status in the United States. Thank you. We'll see you next time.
This has been the news summary for this week, brought to you by Quiroga Law Office. Remember to follow us on our social media platforms. Don't forget to share this news recap so that the entire immigrant community can stay informed and up to date on the most relevant topics that matter to us, immigrants in the United States.